Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show. 3, 2, 1, boom!
Time to face the rise and grind. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
All right, Thrive Nation, greetings from the Camp Clark and Chicken Palace studios. Camp Clark and Chicken Palace studios. The official time is 5:38 in the morning, and we had a Thriver that emailed in a question, and then I thought to myself, we've had many Thrivers email in the same question. So, Marshall, what I want to do right now is I want to focus on forever tackling and devouring and bombing and blowing up and destroying the idea that there could be some kind of business out there in the world that does not need to advertise. The question is emailed in all different ways. They say, I'm in a business where I predominantly make my money word of mouth. Do I need to advertise? Or they'll say, most of my business comes in word of mouth. Do I need to advertise? They'll say, gosh, I've been in business for 40 years. I have more business than I know what to do with. Do I need to advertise? Marshall, why does everybody need to advertise?
Well, everybody needs to advertise because unless you advertise, you're not going to fill your pipeline with any new leads. Okay.
Right.
And so my main man, Brian Tracy.
Ooh, Brian Tracy.
Yeah. One of the best-selling authors, renowned sales teacher, sales mentor.
People that are not familiar with Brian Tracy, the guy's written many, many books. He's a speaker that has been put in the same categories as, let's say, you might say Zig Ziglar, you might say Tony Robbins, you might say Brian Tracy. That's all in that same family. He's been a consultant for some of the biggest brands in the country. What does he have to tell us, Marshall?
He says, keep your sales pipeline full by prospecting continuously. Always have more people to see than you have time to see them. And so you got to do this because when your sales pipeline is full, then you're never going to be wanting for new deals.
Well, Marshall, I tell you what, as we're doing this podcast specifically about the importance of advertising, I want to make sure that you can take some show notes here because I think everybody needs to know these big reasons for advertising. Okay, one is when you have a full pipeline of prospects, it allows you to say no to the customers you don't want. That's a profound idea. It allows you to say no to the customers that you don't want. And Marshall, this just in, have we ever had somebody reach out to us with one of our companies? Maybe let's go with the DJ company back in the day. Did we ever have somebody reach out to us where someone thought, this is probably not the gig we want?
This is probably not, we should not be sending somebody out there to go do this show.
I would call that the hell gig.
Okay.
So as an example, when I started DJ Connection, though, if you had a pulse and you called me, I would do that gig. So let me tell you the gigs I've done. I did a gig on Grand Lake that took 2 days for $350 because the guy said, I know your normal rate is $600 for unlimited time, so I would like to use it for both days. And I said, what? And I said, it's unlimited time for 1 day. And he says, but it doesn't say that in your advertising. It says unlimited time. And I want to hire you guys, but I want the unlimited time DJ service, the entertainment service where you provide the sound, the lights, the MC. I want it for both days for the $350. And I go, $350? What? So I had to take because I had nothing.
I'd like to hire you as a DJ, and then I'm going to use you for the rest of my life.
That is essentially. But if you don't have any good leads,
right,
you have to take whatever comes across. We've also had people that have reached out to us for consulting, where we say no all the time. I would argue that probably 1 out of 2 people that reaches out to us for help with coaching or consulting isn't a good fit. And we had a guy reach out to us who wanted to denuclearize a submarine. If you can demilitarize a nuclear submarine to create a desalination system to create clean drinking water for people in the Middle Eastern regions.
This is true.
This is true. And I asked him, I said, what is your current occupation? He says, well, I work at Subway. And I thought to myself, no. And the reason why I can say no, Marshall, is because we
have other leads and we prospect continuously.
Furthermore, so reason number 2 to always advertise is when you advertise, you're getting in front of your ideal and likely buyers that would have not heard of you before. And if you do a good job, people come back and bring friends? Marshall, do people not come back and bring friends if they're wowed? And so let's imagine we're running ads. We're running advertisements for Elephant in the Room. We're running ads for Elephant in the Room. We have one of our top customers. Does it seem possible? True story. He came in as a result of a mailer, Marshall. I mean, I know this because he is a multimillionaire in Tulsa, and he says, hey, my wife says you guys mail us all the time. I want to take advantage of it. He came in. He came in, and you know what? He's told his friends, and now we're getting more word of mouth. So word of mouth should be the predominant driver of growth, but you got to have a lot of lines in the water, Marshall.
You got to fill the pipeline at the beginning of your sales process in the first place in order to produce more and more word of mouth.
So Elephant in the Room, probably 90% of our business is word of mouth, but yet we still do mailers. And Marshall, do the mailers work great? No, we only get like a 3% of the people respond, 2%, but that is actually great because they come back and tell their friends.
They tell their friends. It's the beginning of the sales pipeline. You got to fill it to begin with. They'll tell their friends. In the Harvard Business School, they did a case study.
Yes.
A Harvard Business Review talking about the Net Promoter Score.
The Net Promoter Score is a profound article. I'll put it on the show notes as you break it down for us.
And so what they found is that if somebody is wowed, they're willing to rate you a 9 or a 10 out of scale 1 to 10. How likely are you to tell a friend or a family member about our service? If they rate you a 9 or 10, they're going to tell at least 5 people about the product or service that you're providing. That's incredible, and that's how these companies grow so virally over a short period of time.
Now, the next reason you want to advertise, again, reason number 1 is it allows you to say no to the customers you don't want, right? 2, you can get in front of your ideal and likely buyers. 3, this is the big one. This is the big kahuna. This is the one that was, this is what Dr. Zellner taught me. This is what I'm teaching you. I remember talking to Dr. Z, and I said, well, with the DJ business, I really don't need to advertise because my business is primarily word of mouth. And he said, okay, cool. That's cool. What are you doing with your schedule today? What are you doing today? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, what are you doing today? And I said, well, I'm going to go over to the Bixby Chamber. I got a networking luncheon. And then tonight I'm going to the after hours for the Tulsa Chamber. Tomorrow I'm going to the Bridal Association at Panera Bread. I'll be going to a trade show. He goes, so you spend you personally value money more than your time. You would rather spend all of your time networking and handshaking and doing all that, right? You'd rather spend your whole day marketing, or would you rather have the radio advertising for you? Or would you rather have the internet advertising for you? Would you rather have the Yellow Pages advertising for you? Because the Yellow Pages, back in the day, the radio, the TV, that advertises all the time. While you're sleeping, those ads are still going. So do you value time or money? So the third main reason is it allows you to scale your marketing activity. And Marshall, up to a certain point, you can't scale yourself, right? I mean, at a certain point, you cannot do any more effort.
We're still working on the stem cell research for cloning yourself so that you can see it. But until
We're
then,
very close, very close.
Until then, you're gonna have to find a way that you can continuously market. You can continuously put in just $1 more. So when you set up a digital marketing or a scalable marketing system, it's as easy as choosing to spend more money in that particular area that's producing results rather than have to go spend 8 more hours of your time running around town marketing.
So it's not a mutually exclusive idea. Word of mouth is not the enemy of advertising. Just because we're saying we are a fan of advertising because we know it works, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't actually go out there and not do a good job. You want to do a great job. You want to get word of mouth, and you want to advertise. You want to do both. Now, Marshall, I wanted to allow Michael Levine to pile on.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Levine is a Thrivetime Show mentor. He has been the PR consultant for Nike, for Pizza Hut, for Nancy Kerrigan. And we had an opportunity to sit down with him. And this guy has interviewed, he's worked with, he's coached, he's helped do all of the public relations and marketing for Nike, Pizza Hut, Michael Jackson, Prince. When Prince was coming to town, he would advertise. When Michael Jackson was coming to town, he would advertise. The thing is, big companies advertise. And he actually studied that over time, he discovered that all of the Fortune 500 companies were advertising. In fact, they're spending over 10% of their budget on advertising, right?
This is a profound idea here. If you want to be 3 times bigger than the average company, you got to advertise 3 times as much.
Not advertising is like not putting fuel in your car.
That it's not going to run. So when I understand, you've started a business,
right?
And when you're trying to bootstrap the business, you're really trying to get it up and going. So you're like, where can I pinch some pennies? Where can I do that? And the first thing that I see a lot of business owners do is they pinch pennies on their advertising.
Right.
Well, you're not going to have sales come in if you cut costs there. How else are you going to get business to produce more sales? So you got to advertise.
Marshall, will you look up the notable quotable? Henry Ford on advertising. Henry Ford has a fabulous quote on advertising. I think it's a pretty. Here we go. Let me read this to you. Now we'll put it on the show notes there. He says, let me see here. He says, a man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time.
Ooh.
Again, he says, a man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time. Marshall.
This is I see this happen.
You do?
You're like, yeah, I see this happen all the time where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to save some money. It's going to be tight. We didn't close as many deals as we would have liked. So I got to stop advertising. That's when you need to double down on advertising.
Right.
Because you have to, it's counterintuitive. You have to spend money on your advertising efforts in order to bring in more leads to close more sales.
I'm so tired because I haven't eaten in 3 days. So I don't have the energy needed to eat. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to, because I'm so tired, my energy levels are so low because I haven't eaten any food.
That's right.
For at least 3 days.
Oh.
So I'm not going to eat today.
And you shouldn't.
Because I'm so tired.
You shouldn't.
You can't do that. I'm telling you, this is not a good thing. But when you advertise, you again can tap into these main 3 reasons to advertise. 1, it allows you to say no to customers you don't want. 2, it allows you to get in front of your ideal and likely buyers. And 3, it allows you to scale your marketing beyond you, thus creating time freedom. And so now, without any further ado, we're going to listen to our interview. We're going to cue up some audio with my interview with Michael Levine, the PR consultant for Nike, for Michael Jackson, for Prince, for Nancy Kerrigan, and he will explain to you directly the importance of advertising.
The average business in America spends 4% of its gross on marketing. The average business in America spends 4% of its gross on marketing. Now, we then say, and I wrote this in a book, what are the 500 fastest growing businesses in America spend on marketing? Correct answer, 11%. So if you want to outmarket your competition, if you want to become a brand leader, or hyper grow your business, if you want to become a brand leader, either number 1 or 2 in your market, or you want to hyper grow your business, you got to outmarket your competition about 3 to 1. And you got to do it traditional and non-traditional ways so you go broke.
Marshall, did he just say that to become successful as a business owner, you have to advertise?
You have to advertise, and furthermore, or you'll go broke.
Okay. I mean, I think he was subtle about that there. Now we have Dr. Sibley joining us in the studio here for this exciting edition of the Thrivetime Show podcast as we're talking about the importance of advertising. Dr. Sibley, you've seen many of your colleagues, I'm sure. Probably, maybe not colleagues you know, other people. You know about other chiropractors, unlike you, who have set up shop and have gone out of business as a result of not having any customers at all, because all they refuse to do any marketing outside of just personally inviting people to their clinic, to their practice. Can you talk to me about what advice you would give for any of your colleagues, any entrepreneurs, any chiropractors, anybody out there who says, I don't want to advertise. All of my business comes from word of mouth.
I think that doctors have this mindset that people are just going to walk in their door.
Right.
Because they've got a sign up. Hey, I'm a doctor. Come right in. You have to advertise.
What did you just say?
You have to advertise so people will know where you're at and what your skill set is and what you do in your practice. You've got to advertise or you'll go broke.
Unbelievable. Marshall, did he just say you have to advertise? And he's a chiropractor.
Yeah, he's a chiropractor, and it's the same as like a bank or the same as a barbershop or the same as any number of businesses. Michael Levine did it with PR for a number of different people.
So
you have to advertise.
I'd like for you then to bring up, because you are a coach, you work with clients all the time. Eric Chupp works with clients.
Yeah.
So I would like for you to list off some of the excuses you've heard people, not your clients.
Yeah.
Not people you know, but people you've kind of heard at the mall.
Yeah.
You run into business owners, you're a curious man, you run into business owners, you say, hey, what do you do? The guy says, I own a business. And you say, do you advertise? And he says, no. Can you give me a list of reasons
I got
why people that you don't know, people that don't listen to this show, but other people, why they say, I'm not going to advertise?
I've been passing them in the mall. I hear them talking.
These are not people listening right now and people you've never met.
That's right.
Okay.
What about, like, I'm already completely booked out, so
Right.
therefore I shouldn't advertise anymore?
Okay, so going back to my 3 rules.
Yeah.
3 reasons for advertising. 1, it allows you to say no to the customers you don't want. Dr. Sibley, have you ever had a patient who is let's just say, not a happy camper? Not about you, just not a happy camper about life in general. And because of their caustic personality, you have realized fairly quickly they're not a good fit. Have you ever had that interaction?
Oh, definitely.
And I would say, if you're out there listening and you are not aware of this idea, Southwest Airlines refuses to provide service to people often. So if somebody's on the plane, we've all seen these videos now, they're smartphones. And with the videos, because of smartphones now we can see it. But there's people that come in to the business who are cantankerous and crazy and mean and belligerent and intoxicated. And we have Jason here, the manager of Elephant in the Room. I'll call him the super manager because that's his title. The super manager of all 3 stores, Jason with Elephant in the Room. Sir, have you ever seen a person come into the Elephant in the Room who you realize fairly quickly, this person's not a good fit for what we offer?
Absolutely.
And what are some telltale signs where you would say, well, I'm glad we're advertising, but this is probably not a good fit?
The one that comes to mind was at our downtown location. We had a guy come in visibly intoxicated.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, real quick here, just so you know, Jason, that microphone is so sensitive. It needs to be spoken to. Like, you just got to love on that mic because otherwise it'll just don't even worry about making eye contact with me. You just look right into that sanctimonious microphone.
Get real close.
So you had a guy come in who was intoxicated?
Yes.
How intoxicated? Like 5 beverages in?
I would say like a good 6 beverages in.
And what time of day was it? Was it something respectable like noon?
Oh, it was about noon 30.
Noon 30?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, but because we advertise, we're able to say, hey, it's not a good fit. What's going on?
But you gotta understand this principle, Clay. The business owner that says, most of my business comes from word of mouth, so do I need to advertise?
Right.
It comes from word of mouth because you're not advertising.
Right.
It doesn't have any. Doesn't have any other option.
Or they'll pull in their analytics report in Google and they'll say, everybody, types in Elephant in the Room. That's how they found us because I looked at the keyword search and that's how they found us. They're typing in our name. Right, because you're not doing any other search engine optimization. Right. It's okay. So what's the next reason, Marshall, that you've heard, not your clients, not people you know, but people you've randomly met at the mall who are business owners, when they have told you, it's weird how you run into these people, but you'll meet these failing business owners at the mall. What are some other reasons they've given you why they don't advertise?
This one I heard, it blows my mind every time I hear it.
Okay.
Is it really ethical to advertise? And I don't want to compete. I don't want to take business away from the other business owners.
I hear this all the time when I work with churches.
Oh,
people are like, is it ethical for the church to advertise? We don't want a monopoly on Jesus in our community.
That's right.
Dr. Sibley, have you ever run into chiropractors, doctors, dentists, people you know that have argued about how it's unethical to advertise as a doctor, as some kind of professional?
Yes.
Why? What's the argument?
They just think that people should just come in and see them, and they think that it cheapens their professionality. But it doesn't.
What? It doesn't?
It does not. All it does is enlighten every aspect of your practice. Advertising is a must.
Holy cow!
Harry Carey chiming in there. Okay. Marshall, what's another reason people have ever said, this is why I don't believe in advertising? You have another reason.
Yeah, so I don't want to what Dr. Sibley was saying here is, I don't want to cheapen my brand by marketing a dollar offer for my premium service. This is one that I hear all the time where it's like, or maybe I don't want to lose money up front in order to make money down the road. I don't want to lose money trying to get them in the door. So I hear this a lot, and it is just wild. It blows my mind because those are the people that you need to be going after.
You've gotta advertise.
People are skeptical. People are skeptical at the very forefront.
Now, we have Eric Chupp, the renowned business coach, who has made his entrance into the studios, Marshall. So in a subtle way, I'm gonna have to kick you out of here.
Kick me
and
out.
I'm gonna kick him. He wants to kick it. He's been asking, can I kick it? And I said, yes, you can. And he said, can I kick it? Yes, you can. So Eric Chupp, think about this. You've got clients you've worked with over the years, coaching clients, some people you've really helped to become successful. And I know that none of your clients have ever pushed back about the fundamental concept of advertising. But what are the excuses you've heard or reasons you've heard, the justifications you've heard where people have said, this is why I don't believe in advertising when you've run into people at the mall with Marshall?
A lot of times I'll hear at the mall with Marshall.
Yeah, well, that's where you're running into these people.
Right.
You've never met them at a conference.
Right,
None of our listeners, none of our clients. Yes.
One thing is that, I just don't have the money. I don't know what you guys were talking about earlier, but that's what I've heard a lot is, I don't have the money to get going. And the point is, I have the money to get going.
I have a really, really aggressive example that's hot and fresh here.
Do it.
Dr. Sibley, this is not someone that I know. It's a metaphysical story that in no way relates to someone that I personally know. But in the last 60 days, subliminally, through osmosis, I've absorbed this story from the ether. And there's a gentleman, I believe it was a gentleman, I couldn't tell necessarily what gender this person, but it feels like a gentleman. And the comment was made to me, not directly, because no one I know would ever say this. This guy goes, I can't afford to spend $2,000 a month on my advertising. And in the same 1 hour meeting, asked me who I would recommend that he uses to install his new flat screens.
Right.
At his pool. In the same meeting. His business is barely surviving, and it starts off like, I cannot do $2,000 a month on those Facebook ads, which, by the way, are generating all the business.
All of it.
All of it.
The money in order to build
all
the
of it were
area
coming
for
in.
the TV.
And he's like, but real quick, before I go, you and your wife are doing a pool, aren't you? Who are you using to install those TVs? And I said, well, we're getting renderings and stuff. And he's like, I need one. I just got these new TVs, and I need to figure out where to install them. Dr. Sibley, have you ever seen people doing this where they're starving their core business to live beyond their wage?
Yes, I see this quite frequently, and it's really kind of funny because I can't afford this. That's what they say. I can't afford
Can't
this.
afford it.
Oh, by the way, you come out here. I want to show you my new car.
Right.
I'm building a new house.
That's exactly.
What in the world?
Well,
one thing I've heard too is my product or my service is so awesome that I don't need to advertise. I'm building this thing off of just word of mouth. So everybody needs my product or service. I don't even need to advertise it. I just got to get it out there.
Chup.
That is advertising.
Chup.
Yeah.
Final excuse you may or may not have heard for advertising, because we've had a lot of people email us recently, and again, they're emailing the question in all different ways and shapes and forms. They're saying, do I need to advertise because I'm in the home building industry? I'm in the countertop industry. I'm in the landscaping business. I am in the blogging industry. Every industry pretty much has asked the same question. I'm a chiropractor. Is it ethical? I'm a dentist. Is it ethical? I'm an attorney. Is it ethical? Talk to me. What are the excuses that you have heard from not your clients, not the podcast listeners, not the conference attendees, just random people you've met at the mall with Marshall?
Advertising doesn't work, Clay. Nobody clicks on ads. Nobody reads signs. Nobody looks at their... Advertising does not work.
They love spending money on things that don't work.
Oh!
No!
Right.
McDonald's advertises because it works.
That's right.
You ever seen a commercial? Have you ever seen a commercial on TV? You ever seen one of those?
I have, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Dr. Sibley, you ever seen a commercial before?
I think so.
Interesting.
Right.
Advertising does not work.
It never works.
That's why Coca-Cola stopped their advertising right away.
And Nike.
Nike no longer
They don't do
advertises.
anything. They
No,
don't endorse
McDonald's
people.
doesn't advertise. I mean, no, they all advertise.
All the time. They never stop. It's the exact opposite.
So if you're out there listening today and you have ever felt like advertising is not for you, I want to give you love, kindness, air horns. I want to give you bomb blasts. I want to give you angel choirs. I want to give you whatever I need to give you right now to make you advertise. And I don't care what advertising you do. Just think about your ideal and likely buyers. Ask yourself, who are my ideal and likely buyers? That's the action item, Chup, I want to put in the show notes. Who are your ideal and likely buyers? Define who your ideal and likely buyers are. and then advertise in 3 ways to get in front of them. And we have many podcasts where we break down the 3 ways, but you've got to do it. My name's Clay Clark. I'm a business coach. That's Eric Chupp. That is Dr. John Sibley. That's Jason, the super manager with Elephant in the Room. With any further ado, Chupp, we always end with a boom. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom.